Pigafetta was a Venetian pioneer and scholar who joined the Spice Island effort driven by navigator Ferdinand Magellan under the banner of King Charles I of Spain and following the death of Magellan in the Philippines, the ensuing voyage the world over. During the agreement, this chronicled Philippine as Magellan's right hand and kept an exact journal which later helped him in elucidating the Cebuano language. One of the 18 survivors who returned to Spain on September 8, 1522 is Antonio Pigafetta. His motivation in writing the document is to give a thorough report to the king about what happened and what they encountered during the journey. From the time they started the expedition until they turned back to Spain, he wrote it on his journal. Also, Pigafetta was motivated to fulfill his personal interest and love in discovering and exploring the world. He also contributed his desire to the advancement in military service.
Antonio Pigafetta was described as a well-educated young man possessing a passionate curiosity of the world. He became enlightened with the lucrative spice trade. He also found out the news about the voyage that has been undertaken by Magellan, and later admitted as one of the prominent persons who followed to join the said expedition. He experienced and survived lots of challenges and adversity along the trip, which was described through his journal, making reliable writing of the said document. The period in the Philippine history that was staggered is pre-colonial period, around 16th century, especially year 1521 to year 1522.
In the first part of the document, it was stated that Filipinos are very pleasant and hospitable. And in terms of food, the lives of Filipinos at that time are very simple and innovative because they get everything from trees and plants. Back then, Filipinos have originality and own identity. In terms of clothing, beliefs, and according to Antonio Pigafetta, they have black hair and they wear large earrings. It is also mentioned that Filipinos are capri or heathen. Lastly is that Filipinos before are easily convinced and do not have own decisions because they were convinced by Christian teaching and faith, although they have already got Abba. The expedition of Magellan contributed in improving the Philippine historiography. The economic activities like introducing natives in new materials such as mirror and ivory affected the Philippines during this period. Also, Christianity was introduced in the Philippines and to state an event, particularly the Easter Sunday Mass on March 31, 1521, where many local inhabitants were baptized and converted. The biggest domestic events that affected the Philippines in general during that period would be the victory on Battle of Mactan, because this is the first time that Filipinos successfully resisted the Spaniards. The Filipinos and the Philippines was portrayed as hospitable because they welcomed the Spaniards when they arrived in the island of the Philippines, when they knew they were the threat, and also exchanged and offered goods and products to them like bananas, yuraka, and coconuts. They were also innovative and resourceful as they made the most out of the coconut tree, whereas they made wine and oil from it, to name a few. They were also portrayed to be civilized as they already have customs, flora and fauna, language, and geography. So what are the important terms of the context? First is the Quadra de Libuani Signili. Antonio Pigafetta described the spring in Omanhon as the watering place of good signs for its clear water and great amount of white coral, large trees with fruits and palm. Second, sobresalientes. These are men who came from prominent families who will join the expedition or trip for the love of adventure and for the advancement of military. Example of this is Antonio Pigafetta. Capri, also known as heathens. Filipinos back then do not belong to widely held religion as regarded by those who do, although they do raise hands and somewhat call their god named Abba. They don't really have no one or nothing to worship. Taking advantage of this, the Spaniards got the chance to introduce and spread Christianity in the Philippines. Third, these are following terms for products offered when Magallanes' crew came in the island. First is the yuraka, or meaning arak, cocoa nuts, coconuts, figs more than 1 palm long, bananas.
How Ferdinand Magellan died is one of the greatest misconceptions in Philippine history. Most elementary school and high school textbooks content say that Magellan was killed by Lapu-Lapu's hands. This is the same even in search engine like Google. And the cause of death for the Portuguese explorer was a stab wound. According to Pigafetta, it was not Lapu-Lapu who did Magellan, but many natives battle-hardened, evidenced by their proficiency with spears and very large bolos. This was something that Magellan and his company didn't expect. Also, contrary to all textbook depiction of Magellan, arriving in the Philippines to invade the country, The actual purpose of Magellan's voyage was to prove that Earth is not flat by circumnavigating the world by traveling westward to get to the east. This journal kept by Pigafetta helped us to further comprehend and give an emphasis about the world's first circumnavigation. That was one of the greatest accomplishments in the history of Navy exploration and discovery.
Antonio Pigafetta's first voyage around the world reveals what really happened during Magellan's expedition in early civilization and how does it affects Filipinos' mindset when it comes to the story of Magellan. Under scholars, they gave information about how to know and understand where those beliefs, traditions, and culture of Filipino came from, including the range of their existence. Under economy, details on how ancient Filipinos conduct their business and available goods back then as trading system passed by generation to generation. In the geography, evidence of the shape of the world, which is the oblate sphere, and the idea that the world consists of large body of water that separates islands and continents and changes the European map. And in the religion, it provides detailed information about how Spaniards used religion as weapon to conquer the Philippines. This is why the reason why Filipino embrace the faith and belief nowadays.
Through this document, we, the Filipino youth, can visualize what really happened that time and that we can clearly understand the deeper side of what is happening in the present. The land of our country has existed prosperous and peaceful even before the conquerors came to our territory. At that point in time, it inspires young people of today that we have sovereignty and identity as a Filipino. The document validates the inherent traits of the Filipinos. It is observed that Filipinos of early time exhibited the traits of being respectful, grateful, and the trait of being hospitable. Filipinos were identified as for being to be befriended and for socializing easily. The text presents the individuals who have shown courage and gallantry in the defense of the country, such as Lapu-Lapu, who guided the Filipino people to resist the power of Spaniards. In early times, communities were already ruled by the leaders who have the leadership qualities that the Filipino has, for they showed the quality of being brave and well-respected.